You're now rocking with Ring Kings Boxing on the PRO Media Network. I'm Big Q chiming in this episode of Ring Kings Boxing. This one's entitled Boot Ennis versus Errol Spence. Actually, Boots Ennis is requesting the IBF to order Errol Spence to fight him. And listen, we couldn't get Crawford and Spence this year, although many people believe this will happen next year. But for right now, we've seen what Terence Bud Crawford did when he decided to go and fight or set up a fight on December the 10th against Avanesyan to kind of keep doing his thing. But this could be interesting if this happens. Let's get into it, man, on this episode of Ring Kings Boxing. Boots Ennis, who's is a challenger. And a lot of people believe that Boots is ready for greater things in the welters as he gets ready. As he moves closer, he feels like he's ready for a title shot. So let's get into this article right here from boxingnews24.com. Seagull on the scoop. Mandatory challenger Jerry Boots Ennis has submitted a request to the IBF for them to order Errol Spence Jr. to defend his IBF welterweight title against him. Assuming Spence refuses to face Ennis, he could be stripped of his IBF title if he doesn't vacate the belt first. If the International Boxing Federation acts on the request from number one IBF Boots Ennis, who's 29 and over 27 knockouts, Spence may be forced to decide whether to agree to the fight or vacate his belt and either move up to 154 or defend his WBA title against Sestonius. I hope I said that correctly. The easier fight on paper for Spence, who's 28-0 with 22 knockouts, is against that fighter, and that's far from an easy fight. Now, up until this week, the IBF, the WBA, the WBC 147-pound champion Spence had been negotiating to fight the WBO champ Terence Crawford for the undisputed championship. Little did Spence know that Crawford was in negotiations with fringe contender David Avanesyan at the same time. This week, Crawford's team announced that he'd be defending against Avanesyan on December the 10th on pay-per-view at the Shy Health Center in Omaha, Nebraska. So a blindside punch in the face of Spence as Crawford moves in a different direction to fight. That's I ain't gonna say it's a sucker move, because Crawford explained why he was doing that, but you don't handle business that way. Crawford will be getting an unbelievable 8-figure payday for the fight against Avanesyan. Now that Crawford is out of the picture, Spence must decide on whether to face Stanionius, Boots Ennis, Keith Thurman, or move up to 154. Of course, he's not going to move up to 154. Spence never did no mandatory, says Boots' dad, trainer Derek Boozy Ennis. He says 4 years Spence made a mandatory. He hasn't made one. We sent the petition already to the IBF to them to order Spence versus Boot. I sent one in. You would expect it, but I know what it's going to be. Now you're going to go by, she says you're going to go by, why do I got to fight Ennis, or why do I got to fight someone else in the top 5 when you got Terence Crawford going and fighting someone else in the top 10, says Lawrence Small. So, and then they have the rationale there as they go, and I'm not going to break it all down because it's spoken about right here in the video that they covered about, and he was breaking all that down in particular. So if you want to hear what he was saying, feel free to go and check out the article. But what we are looking at here is that Boots Ennis is definitely ready for a title shot. Now that Crawford and Spence is not a thing, you got to look at that. If I'm Errol Spence, and I'm the guy, do you fight Boots Ennis? A lot of people would say, no, he don't fight Boots Ennis because Boots Ennis is dangerous. He's looking for unification, but undisputed unification of the crown, of unify all of the belts of the welterweight division. But what's interesting is Boots is a guy that can throw a monkey wrench in those plans. Boots Ennis is a guy that could beat an Errol Spence. I mean, he's a guy with knockout power. He's a crafty fighter. He has a hell of a chin. And Errol would have to work that thing against Boots Ennis. I'm not saying Errol can't beat Boots, because Errol is a good fight, a hell of a fighter. He's a champion. But Boots Ennis is looking at him saying, man, it's time for y'all to feel that gives some of these young guys that's right up under you guys an opportunity. If you're not going to unify or have undisputed unification or link the belts together for one champion of this division, then let the young bucks get a shot up at that thing. So we mentioned Ortiz in the previous video against Bud, and he went a different direction with an easier fight. I expect the same to be done with Errol Spence. I don't expect Errol Spence to honor any requests from Boots Ennis. I don't think the IBF is going to force this to happen. I'll be really surprised if they do, because it will give us a really good fight between a true contender and the champion right now in 147. So I don't expect this to happen, though. This is just me. What do you guys think? Tell me what you think in the comment section below. As Boots wants a shot at the crown, he feel like he won't get that. Maybe this is his opportunity to get it. If the IBF was hitting on anything, they will honor Boots Ennis's request for him to fight Errol Spence. So we'll see how that goes. Once again, how do you guys see it? Put it in the comment section and let me know how you feel about Boots Ennis and Errol Spence instead of the Crawford bout. Could we get Boots Ennis against Errol Spence? Could we get that? With that being said, I'm gonna pop out on that. Much love to the fam. Appreciate y'all for joining me with this episode of Ring Kings Boxing. Feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Hit the like button and the subscribe button. And I'm gonna see you guys later on the next episode of Ring Kings Boxing. I'm up out of this thing. Peace.